This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. Welcome to MuggleCast episode 369. Dun dun dun. Give it to me one more time. Get low, get to the... Not a child-friendly song. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And Micah isn't here this week. He's here, but he's not. He's in Chicago, but he's not on the podcast. He is supposed to hang out with Eric and I, but he has refused to give us a time, so we may not even see him. Right, Eric?
Yeah. It could be here and gone, and we wouldn't have known. Was it something we said?
It's nonsense. He was like, oh, we should hang out. And then Eric, like, straight up a few days ago is like, all right, let's meet on this day, at this time, at this location. And Micah's like, no, can't do it. And we're like, oh, well, let us know. So now, like, the weekend is here, and... You know, I have other plans. I do have a life, believe it or not.
Gosh, Andrew.
Well, so he's probably going to give us a time, and I'm going to be like, sorry, I can't make it. I got other plans.
I actually think it's going to be tomorrow afternoon. I pitched an idea to him yesterday, so I think
Is that the rumor?
That's the rumor. The rumor is we're in a bit of... Yeah.
Well, glad I've been in the loop. Anyway, we're joined by two guests this week. Nassim is back. Welcome back, Nassim. It's nice to have you again.
Hi, thank you very much.
And we're also joined by one of our patrons, Andrew. Welcome to the show, Andrew. But we're actually going to call you Andy, so there's no confusion.
That works for me. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Or do you prefer Andrew and we can just call Andrew Sims Andy?
Oh, no. I let Andrew know that I've been called Andy ever since I was 2 years old. So
okay.
It takes me a while to respond to Andrew sometimes.
Perfect. That works out good. There's actually been a secret rule with bringing on patron guests. If somebody is named Andrew in the forum, I just skip over them.
So if you hadn't been completely upfront about your willingness to be called Andy, it would have been a little, concerning.
3 years down the road and never getting a call.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good to have you on, and thanks for your support over on Patreon. Let's get your fandom ID. So in one breath, give us your favorite book, movie, Hogwarts House, Ilvermorny House, and Patronus.
Okay, I've been practicing, so... Favorite book, Goblet of Fire. Favorite movie, Goblet of Fire. Hogwarts House, Hufflepuff. Ilvermorny House, Puckwidgie. And Patronus, Irish Wolfhound.
Excellent.
Nice.
Good job.
Yeah.
Practice paid off.
Yeah.
In response to last week's episode, who's your favorite mother in the series?
I mean, I have the biggest heart for Molly Weasley. I couldn't deny that at all. I love my mom, and I would love for her to be my Wizarding World mom, kind of like she was to Harry.
Aww. So cute.
Yeah.
Give it up for Molly Weasley and Andy's mom.
Plus, she's the only mom in the book that swore, which kind of won my heart, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kind of the 11th hour there, but she
And in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the Battle of Hogwarts in honor of the 20th anniversary that we recently passed over. What death hit you hardest in Deathly Hallows?
So, when I got the book, I was reading it side by side with my friend, and I'm a bit of a faster reader. And I got to this part when Hedwig died, and I, gasped. And my friend just looks at me and goes, if you say a word, I swear. I, literally had to leave the room because I was so distraught when Hedwig died.
Oh, yeah. Did you cry?
I won't deny that I cried a little bit.
It's like, should I deny this? No.
It was sad.
It tore my heart. I was just the innocence was just done. It was just, yeah.
Well, as I think J.K. Rowling said when she was asked about that death, she said it marked the end of Harry's childhood. So after that, I was like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But still sad.
Also,
Anyway,
imagine taking care of Hedwig in the tent.
Yeah.
She won't stop screeching. We don't have enough worms for her. Yeah, I mean, she couldn't have flown freely around, that's for sure.
All the droppings, it would not have worked. Ron would have become weakened very quickly.
Somebody's on Hedwig's, on Horcrux duty, the other person's on Hedwig duty,
Or Hedwig
duty,
is on Horcrux duty. Maybe that would have worked.
Oh, that would be
so
crazy. Like an evil owl, kind of I don't know. That'd be
That'd
weird.
be awesome.
Delivered the letters to the wrong people on purpose.
Or at the end of the book, Hedwig kills Nagini, so it's animal on animal.
That'd be cool. I would have been down for that.
Like that to happen. Because, I don't know, or it could have been some other animal, but yeah.
Well, would have called it back to Fox and the Basilisk, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That said, I think people are very satisfied with Neville having his moment killing Nagini, so...
Crucial.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we go further, we are mentioning, we are going to talk about the Battle of Hogwarts this episode, as Andrew mentioned, and we'll be kind of talking about it. You know, it weighs heavily on readers. It's multiple chapters long, hundreds of pages long, and a lot of characters that we care about lose their lives, we see. But actually, it came to my attention earlier this week as we were planning this document that somebody I know, one of the listeners of our show, actually did pass away prematurely early in the real world. And his name was Tommy Stizo, and he was a good friend of mine in Chicago. I actually met him at a Sox game, a White Sox game, down at the Cell where he was working, and he was a listener of the Game of Thrones podcast and MuggleCast for years and years and years, and just kind of introduced himself to me, and we became friends and walked around, and I've known him for a couple years now, and I found out on Monday that he was in a car accident. Another car rear-ended him and pushed his car into it. It's very upsetting, actually. And of course he was dead on the scene. And the driver who hit him had like a revoked license. It was this whole thing, and endangered a child as well. Life is short, and in sort of reflecting on Tommy's death, I just want to caution our listeners to treat life as valuably as you can. I think that's the big takeaway. I am devastatingly sorry for Tommy and his family, and he was engaged to be married. I met his fiancée, Caitlin. She's great. But a life snubbed so early is so unfair, and just all of the condolences and thoughts to Tommy's family, all of the condolences to our listeners who've lost somebody. It's never easy, and that happened this week.
Yeah. We're thinking about Thomas and his friends and family, and we're very sorry to hear that. But changing gears now, we want to mention that little reminder, actually. We haven't spoken about this in recent weeks. Eric and I are actually going to be at Leakycon this summer, August 10th to the 12th in Dallas, Texas. It's a good old-fashioned Harry Potter conference, and I know we're going to be appearing on a bunch of different panels, I think, so that'll be a lot of fun.
The first time they've really got us booked for multiple events at the convention. Like, I'm sure we'll do a live podcast, but there's also academic sort of things like programming that we're asked to being a part of, and it's going to be probably pretty jam-packed. Yeah,
and a bunch of other Harry Potter podcasts are going to be there as well. We're old hat at this point. We're the old guys, but some new shows have come in over the years.
Some younger, sexier shows have
yeah. Well, I'm still sexy. I haven't lost that about me in these 15 years.
You're right, Andrew. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to presume that you weren't still sexy.
Thank you, Beachbody. But so for more information, you can check out the Leakycon website. Unfortunately, tickets are sold out, but we will try to share some of the content that we record there, and I'm sure Eric and I will record stuff specifically for listeners and patrons.
And here's the other thing about Leakycon. There are, again, tickets did sell. I mean, tickets sold out the day of or within an hour of when they were going online. It was insane. But we're mentioning it because there's still people who bought tickets, maybe bought an extra that they no longer need and stuff. And if you look on certain, websites or forums, there may still be some tickets that you can find, or ask your friends, ask around. You may still be able to get to the convention if you really want to go. So just take a look around. If it seems like something you're interested in, Dallas, Texas, August 10th to the 12th, I believe.
Yep, that is right.
You may still be a small opportunity window for you to join us.
Mm-hmm. It kicks off on my mom's birthday.
Oh, look at
Happy
that.
birthday, Mom. Oh, what are you up
Happy
to?
birthday,
I'm in
Heidi.
Texas for a Harry Potter conference. Oh, of course you are. Have a good day. Bye.
I'm celebrating for you with a lot of people. Hundreds of people are here celebrating your birthday.
I'm drinking with other Harry Potter fans, Mom.
Just make sure something nice gets delivered to her house that day.
I will.
It would be a really fun, we could do a video of a whole room saying happy birthday.
Aw, that'd be cute.
That'd be cool.
Now we have to do that. We put it into the podcast.
She'll listen like a year from now and be like, Andrew, why didn't you do
Mom,
that?
it takes you that long to listen to my podcast? Anyway, we do have a couple news items to talk about. First of all, we mentioned a few weeks ago, I don't know, that the Tales of Beedle the Bard was getting an illustrated edition, and the covers, plural, were revealed this past week. Interestingly, the US and the UK are getting different covers. This diverts from Harry Potter 1, 2, and 3, and Fantastic Beasts, those illustrated editions, all getting the same covers. Not sure why they're different, but they're beautiful covers. And actually, let's kick it off here with a voicemail from somebody who called in about these.
Hi, MuggleCast. It's Karishma. I don't know if you guys have seen, but I think Pottermore just introduced the UK cover for the Tales of Beedle the Bard. And I believe it was Chris Radel who illustrated them. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the artwork, because I absolutely love the artwork for this, and this is something that I could actually see myself buying, because it looks a lot like a tarot card deck, which I'm really into doing and reading tarot cards. So it's a really cool looking book, and I just wanted to know your thoughts. Cool, thanks. Bye.
So Karishma, very positive about the UK one by Chris Radel. That is a good point. It does look tarot cardy.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Chris Radel, this name I keep hearing, and he's actually a well-loved, it turns out. I mean, Bloomsbury, obviously they chose the right guy for the job. He's a well-known illustrator of children's artwork for books and editions, and I'm actually looking, I'm on his website, he's got a WordPress, and his art is really quite something. In fact, I think he does, I'm looking now at a Sleeping Beauty he's doing, which is actually really interesting. He's also famous for a picture of a fish on a bicycle. So I think he's got the fantastic elements down to be the best Beedle the Bard illustrator yet. But the cover is very much, as our voicemailer said, it's very colorful, which I appreciate. And I really
gotta be honest,
the Eastern tone to it. It's very interesting.
Yes. It's not a very Harry Potter-y cover, dare I say, though, is it, Nassim?
No, but I feel like they're going for kind of Arabian Nights kind of tone.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of the role of the Tales of Beedle the Bard anyway in the books. So I really like that. And I like how international it is. Although, yeah, don't they kind of look like girls, though? I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but like, if these are the three brothers, they really look like young women to me. I guess they just didn't want to give them mustaches.
Oh
no,
my God. Wait a minute. Oh, are these
those
the
are
three
absolutely
brothers?
women.
Wait, I thought the three brothers were off on the side in the blue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so who are the three in the middle?
It's the Fountain story, isn't it?
Oh, okay, sorry. I was like, I thought these were the three brothers.
He switched
I
the
was like,
three
interesting.
Wow,
brothers.
gender swapping.
gender
Pulled a Stephanie Meyer.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is, I do love the brighter colors of the book. And then the U.S. cover is actually very different. This is by Lisbeth Zerger.
Yeah.
It's like a moon or some sort of orb, and the characters of the various tales are circling the orb.
Yeah,
including the hopping pot, the rabbit, death.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of prefer the U.S. one because it's simpler. It just feels more Wizarding World to me.
This will be interesting to get both versions. I want to see how the different art styles of these two vastly different artists combine to influence the way that the story sounds and is read.
Yeah.
I mean, myself looking at them, it's the US edition looks more like it's catered towards adults, like an adult would be more likely to pick it up, whereas the UK version looks more child friendly. I feel like.
Yeah, it's interesting that the UK edition is more childlike which I agree, because it reminds me of something that you'd see in the children's section at an American bookstore.
Definitely.
Like, I grew up with art, that was very much like this.
It almost reminds me of a coloring book, the UK's cover, because it's so colorful.
I think that's why I like it. I want to color it. Although I do really like the skeleton with the cape following the rabbit. I just want to crop that. It's so cute.
On the US one, yeah.
Oh,
that poor bunny, so terrified.
Death is coming for the rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It's so these will be available this fall. There will not be the Goblet of Fire illustrated edition this fall because he has more time to work on that one, Jim Kay.
That's right.
That will be out fall 2019, which we spoke about a few weeks ago. It's a good thing. So he has more time to really give it all the details it deserves.
Right.
Little other news, more Funkos are coming. We just wanted to briefly mention this. They've been doing a series of they've been doing waves of Funkos, and now this new one has Nearly Headless Nick, which is actually super cool because it looks translucent. It's got Harry, Ron, and Hermione. There's a new trio pack where they're pulling out the, those things, the mandrakes.
Yeah, then Diary Riddle, big Diary Riddle, who's like black and white from old timey, and I'm a big fan of Nearly Headless Nick. Actually, I'm wondering though, because Funko has gone from doing bobbleheads to non-bobbleheads. I wonder if the Nearly Headless Nick will be a bobblehead, or how his head is just kind of, it looks like it's not being held on by much, just that sinew, just like in the book. So I wonder if I hope his head will stick on his Funko. I'd hate to always be losing his head.
Yeah.
Well, it'll bobble vertically, I guess. I really like it. It's so cute.
Yeah. They also have a giant Dobby. It's like 2 to 3 times the size of a normal Funko, which is kind of backwards. It's like, why is Dobby big? I know they have a big Hagrid already, but Dobby's small, so why should he be big compared to my other ones?
You know what? He's holding a sock. I looked at it, so maybe it's when he becomes free. He's like his spirit is unleashed and his heart is 3 sizes bigger, and he's it's free.
They also have a basilisk, which is going to be large. Yeah, this is a 6-inch pop. That one's pretty cool too.
Yeah. Good stuff. So, yeah, I think Funkos are continually a bankable kind of, you can always rely on them to be cute.
Have you guys hit your limit though? I feel like I have enough.
Yeah.
Funkos.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't feel tempted anymore because I have so many. I only have so much shelf space. At this point, I'm just buying characters that I really, really love.
Well, that's why they have these Funko Minis now, which are these tinier.
So you can fit more in less space.
For shelf space.
I've just made a pact with myself to not buy any of them. So if I get one, it's as a gift. So I can put it on a wish list or something. But otherwise, I don't trust myself. I got a Wonder Woman one, but so far my efforts to get people to get me them haven't worked out for me.
I'll get you one this Christmas if I'm your Secret Santa.
Aw, thank you.
I'm the same thing. I haven't gotten any of the Harry Potter Funkos, but I know that once I buy one, it's like potato chips. You got to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Battle of Hogwarts today, the 20th anniversary, 20th fictional anniversary just passed by. Feels like it was yesterday. I really can't believe 20 years has gone by so quick. But before
we cheated,
that,
though. We cheated because it's only been 11 years since the book came out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, it's still crazy. It's been 11 years.
In real life, it's been 20 years.
That's what matters.
Before we talk about the Battle of Hogwarts specifically, and this is a good transition, last week we were talking about the mothers, and one who we didn't bring up was Tonks. And yeah, we may have forgotten, but also we really don't see her as a mother. And unfortunately, she gave birth to Teddy just a month before the Battle of Hogwarts. So poor Teddy didn't get any time at all with his parents. And when I was rereading the Battle of Hogwarts, there was this interesting moment where she said she had a choice between staying at home or fighting. Here's the quote. Harry looked at Tonks. I thought you were supposed to be with Teddy at your mother's. She replies, I couldn't stand not knowing. Tonks looked anguished. She'll look after him. Have you seen Remus? So she decided so she couldn't bear to be at home while the Battle of Hogwarts was going on. Was that the right decision when you have a month-old baby?
Well, my question is, my problem with this, and I've just reread those chapters as well, is her reason for coming is basically it's the same reason Ginny Weasley gives her parents for staying. Like, she would be a wreck if she's at the Burrow and every single one of her family members, you know, her 6 brothers and her mom and her dad are all fighting at Hogwarts. Like, nobody would want to wait at home and you know, wait for the action to help. I get it. That said, Tonks, like, this is, you know, not that she doesn't have 6 brothers and a mother and father in the battle, so she can't come, but, you know, it is just her husband. And does she, you know, is she really being neglectful of the kid? As we know that she dies and is unable to raise the kid. Mm-hmm. So, you know, was it the right call? I don't know. What I don't like most about it, though, is that once she has appeared at Hogwarts, all semblance of her individuality, of her badass aurorism, is thrown out the window by J.K. Rowling. As I was reading this last night, it was actually quite painful because Harry sees her a couple more times before she dies, and she's always just asking about where Lupin is. She asks Kingsley if he's seen Lupin. She asks, I think Aberforth tells her where he is. She's just kind of reduced to this wife role, this subservient wife role. She's not arriving at Hogwarts to be like, all right, I'm going to help some Hufflepuffs kick some ass. Here we go. You know, she's kind of unfortunately driven by her emotions here, and it brings her here. And I think ultimately that may have distracted her and prevented her from, not just surviving, but, you know, making as much of an impact as perhaps that character could have.
Yeah, my mom is, like, we read the book at the same time, and I remember her being really upset about this because as a mother, she was like, that is not responsible. She shouldn't have done that.
Interesting.
So, I mean, none of us are moms, I believe. So I don't know, maybe it helps to, like, know what a mom thinks. But it's kind of interesting that Harry is always the one giving them, like, sane advice about parenting. And both Remus and Tonks are just so terrible at this. It's really frustrating to see.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you think, Andy? Did Tonks make the right decision?
I want to say no, just because, I mean, we have, not to say that Tonks is a very skilled witch. And, you know, for her to go there and battle and want to do that, I totally understand where she's coming from. It's part of her personality. But at the end of the day, you have a 1-month-old at home who could potentially grow up without his parents, and that ended up happening. And it's great for the kid to grow up knowing that his parents were heroes, but I don't know. It's just such a tough call. I don't know. I feel like if she was my wife, I would have told her, you absolutely have to stay at home. But
yeah.
And I'll take care of as much as I can. But
yeah, or at least one of them should have stayed home. I don't care if it was Lupin or Tonks, but sending both, that's a lot of trouble, because at least if, God forbid, one of them were to have died, and of course they both did, at least the other parent is still going to be around.
Yeah. I mean, Remus should have stayed maybe in this case, because, like, he's not an Auror, and he's, like, kind of always sick. I love him, it's the truth. And I don't know, I feel, but it is in character for her to have gone. And I feel like it also would have been a disservice if Rowling hadn't put her in the story at all at this point.
Well, I think part of it is the machinations. Like, Rowling really, really wanted to create an orphan at the end of this book to mirror Harry's story. So no matter what, Tonks and Lupin had to die. But from a character perspective, I really want to ask, like, do you guys think that they died because they found each other? Do you think that somehow they became sort of complacent when the odds became too great to be like, okay, we're together, we're all each other needed, and we're going to die on this hill? Versus if Tonks spent the rest of the battle, you know, looking for Lupin, and Lupin hadn't met her, you know, seen Tonks was there, would they have fought harder to get back to their loved one? Would they have fought, would they have done things differently, even if it meant the death of one or two more characters who, aren't named in the books? But do you think they would have fought harder to stay alive versus leaving this world without seeing their loved one again? Do you think it was almost made them complacent that they found each other?
I think so. I mean, that definitely makes sense. Because when you have, the adrenaline definitely kicks in when it's like you hear those moms that lift cars off to protect their babies. That adrenaline kicks in, and you have your goal in sight is to reunite with each other. So, and nothing's going to get in your way from that point. But when when they get to that place where they meet each other, it's like that sense of calm comes down, and that their goal's been achieved. So maybe their guard was let down a bit when they were searching for one another. But I think it kind of brings that story kind of like full circle when they meet, end up, dying together. But
yeah, and we don't really get the details in the book, but the movie does lead us to believe that they died together because, they kind of reach out to each other. There's that quick shot. And I think that's the last shot we get of them until they're dead.
I mean, at least we got that in the movie, because in the book we got nothing. It really upset me when I was reading.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they should have just brought Teddy, and then the adrenaline on the battlefield would have kicked in to protect him. They would have killed everyone.
Teddy might be like a Jack from The Incredibles and be able to severely take down.
He just morphs into Voldemort, and then nobody can hurt him.
No, but then people will go after him.
Oh, well, but he's luckily impervious. Yeah, now that I've seen The Incredibles for the first time,
you're making all the references.
Many more references. Yeah,
I know this movie.
Did Tonks bring down anyone during the battle? I can't remember anything off the top of my head, but did she end up?
Yeah, she brought down Dolohov, and Lupin brought down another. I might have that backwards. They both kill one, big-ish Death Eater whose names we've heard of, and or are killed by those Death Eaters. I'm gonna look this up.
Because that definitely kind of does counter my argument a little bit. Because who knows, if they weren't there to bring down that one person that each of them did, then who knows how many more additional people would have died.
Right, domino effect. Mm-hmm. That's why you can't mess with time. Albus and Scorpius.
Lupin was killed by Dolohov, and Tonks was killed by Bellatrix Lestrange. Ooh. So we don't know who they killed. We don't know who Lupin and Tonks themselves killed. But yeah, Bellatrix, man, killed another relative of hers.
Andromeda has lost everything because of Bellatrix. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk more about the Battle of Hogwarts now. J.K. Rowling commemorates it every year and apologizes for her death. She's done that 4 years in a row now. And we thought this would be a good thing to talk about since we just hit the big 2-0 fictionally. It was interesting reading it again 11 years later, and I actually wanted to make that a part of this discussion because it is crazy to believe it's been 11 years since this book came out. And I'm not sure, I may have read it once since originally reading it, but just to give my overall thoughts on rereading, and I'd like to hear everybody else's reading it again later, it's very nerve-wracking to read this because there's so much happening, and J.K. Rowling really pulls every punch. She is killing people left and right, and just like in the case of Tonks and Lupin, she has no problem killing people without any sort of build-up. Just Harry walks in, and there are two more dead bodies of two people that he loved. And that is war, I think, as she has said herself. But, man, it's brutal and it's scary because you could just turn one page. You can just hop down one paragraph, and suddenly somebody's dead with absolutely no warning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the classic example, too, is Fred's death. They have this huge success destroying the diadem. It just happens that Fiendfire kills it. And, Harry's elated. He's like, man, now we just have to get the snake. And, they stumble upon Percy and Fred, who are backed into a corner. And there's this fight. But within 3 paragraphs of the diadem being destroyed, all of a sudden Fred is dead. And you're just like, wow, that was such a roller coaster of emotion right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've read the seventh book, I want to say at least 3 or 4 times. And the first time I read it, you go through all the emotions, but each subsequent time I've read it, it's like I've grown to accept it more and realize, yes, some of these things just kind of needed to be done. But yeah, it really plays with your emotions because you've grown with these books for so many years and you love all of these characters so much. And even the minor ones that come up, like Colin Creevey, and it's just, they don't play as big of a role as other characters, but you feel like you know them, like you've kind of grown up with them with the books. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
and this is
it helped me kind of see how well the movies did this part. I mean, I am kind of upset that we didn't get more Remus and Tonks, but that wasn't even in the book, so the movie actually did a great job. And just the way they kind of mixed lots of the scenes in the movie and made it work anyway, and I don't feel like it lost any of the substance. I feel like it was a really good adaptation.
Yeah. Reading this 11 years later, for me, I really appreciate a lot more than I think I did originally, like how well everything that's going on is blended, because Harry is on this quest to find the diadem for the longest time during the battle. He doesn't have Ron and Hermione by his side. He can't find them. It starts getting to him it's like an hour and a half where he spends it without Hermione and Ron. But the way that J.K. Rowling is able to weave all of the battle, the teachers preparing the school, all of that into Harry's own journey of, arguing whether or not Ginny can stay, and then going off and the backstory of, meeting the Grey Lady, seeking out Nick. All this stuff plays out on a huge, massive, grand scale, but it's really like deftly handled how you can go all of a sudden from one major thing to another huge major thing, and the audience it's not like there's no whiplash. I think the book is extraordinarily smooth at transitioning between this is Harry's personal journey and this is what's going on around it.
Mm-hmm. And even reading it so many years later now as an adult, like when I was reading this 11 years ago, I was 18. Harry, Ron, Hermione were close to my age. Now I'm an adult reading about these kids, and I'm like, these are kids doing this. And that's actually one of the questions I wanted to bring up. There is a moment right before the battle itself starts in the Battle of Hogwarts chapter. Mcgonagall says anyone who is, quote, of age can fight. Was that right? Should kids be fighting in this battle? Keep in mind they're like 16, 17, 18.
Well, that's the of age thing, right? These are just the laws of the wizarding world say that you're technically an adult at this age.
But is it right for them to fight in a war at this age?
No, but ultimately what she achieves by doing that is getting rid of the underage, right? Like, she's setting an age limit that's very easily respected and enforceable by just being like, well, you guys are underage. The equivalent would be like, you can't vote, so you don't get to stay,
And think about the real world. Who goes to war? 18-year-olds.
Yeah, but there's like time to think about it, prepare yourself. The parents know. I just felt I don't want to say, I don't really have an opinion strongly either way.
Right.
Because I think it is a very tough decision and McGonagall is acting in the moment. But if I was a parent, I would have been concerned.
But the thing is your parents, once you're of age, that's the thing though. You have to transition yourself into that role of the decision maker for your life. It's the same thing I see in the hospital all the time, is that once somebody turns 18, you're responsible for your own decisions. And I think that McGonagall treated them as adults and said, look, you have an option. Nobody's going to judge you if you don't want to. But if you want to join us, you're welcome to stand alongside me. And I think it was definitely warranted.
And at this point, Neville and Seamus and like all of these people have been taking care of the Hogwarts and keeping kids alive. I feel like it was just natural for them to be there. And if she had said that they couldn't, then Harry wouldn't have been allowed to be there. And it's just very complicated. I feel like they couldn't have won at all if they hadn't used, you could say, the overage kids, which is sad, but I mean, that's war.
That's why it's so bold. Is there's this, like, for McGonagall, again, she gets rid of all the underage, which is the right call. Like, yes, children have no business fighting a battle. Some of them still do. We see Ginny, even though she's underage, she's with so, yeah, I think it might actually be Tonks shooting spells somewhere. She sneaks out despite what she promised her parents about staying put, and is still fighting. And obviously, Mr. Creevy was in the fray somewhere as well. I know. But there's this threat of, we need as many people as we can get. In fact, and interestingly, when they're setting up the castle, even I think it's Flitwick, says, there's no spell that can keep Voldemort out indefinitely. He says these defenses will fall, but we can buy you some time, Potter. And that's sort of interesting to me, because I'm wondering, like, really, I mean, these are great witches and wizards. These are professors of Hogwarts and, the headmistress. What is it about Voldemort that they really can't keep him out, indefinitely? Like, what is that about Voldemort that makes him so badass? But there is this very rushed sense of, we can only buy time, and then we will have to fight, for our lives. And it's very, very, it gives them a great deal of pressure to have enough numbers on their side, which is why I think it's an easy call to say, if you're of age, you can make the choice, because that's how just the law works.
And
it's something I've actually thought about as well. I mean, does each witch or wizard have like an equal amount of magical power within them, and then it just takes your mind to be able to unlock that power? Or do some people have like a more charged up battery throughout their lives, and maybe Voldemort was just one of those people? But I'm
gonna stop you right there. Are you thinking of Hogwarts mystery terms here, where you have more energy than when you said built up battery? I'm like, wait a minute. Do we have a Hogwarts mystery game player here?
I do, honestly. I'm very far in the game.
Oh God. I'm sorry for interrupting. Please go on.
No, that's not at all. So, that's just something I've always wondered about, is that, because I know that Voldemort, loved the magical world, loved being pulled out of his original life and what he was brought into. So maybe his mind just honed in on his magical power just early on in his childhood, and he's just, because he's so much more in tune with it, than other witches and wizards, it's really hard to hold someone like him back. And Dumbledore might have been the one person that could have.
Right.
But I'm not sure exactly how it works, or, maybe his energy bar has a max of 500, whereas mine only has 30 in the game, but... I'm not sure, but
I think that's probably it. Everybody else will have to run out of energy and pay to play, while Voldemort can just keep going because he got the cheat codes.
Yep, definitely.
Kind of like an Anakin Skywalker situation, like he had a lot of power and he was manifesting it when he was very young. But that's also why Dumbledore was worried about him from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that is somebody like Credence, who has the magical power but doesn't know really how to harness it, how to use it, what to do with it. He's been brought up to be ashamed of it. So unlike Voldemort, he's going to be stunted in his development, I think.
And then Credence is a perfect example too, because by the same token, he is able to be that age and have survived with the Obscurus be a part of him. Like, that means he's actually an incredibly talented wizard, or a strong wizard, for the Obscurus not to have killed him at this point, because most Obscurials don't survive past age 11, and he's presumably 17, 18, 19. I do think, based on Credence alone, you can infer that there are stronger wizards. They're just plain simple, there are stronger wizards.
And also, going back to what you were saying about Flitwick, I was reading the chapters right before the Battle of Hogwarts, and there's a very clear difference in McGonagall's attitude towards Harry when he first arrives and when he says he's on Dumbledore's orders.
Yeah.
I think it's a part of they have been preparing for some kind of showdown for a long time, but the reason they trust Harry so implicitly is because they feel like he is kind of carrying Dumbledore's legacy. So they would act with him the way that they would have acted if Dumbledore had been there and told them that they were going to fight.
That's a really good point.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm on the fence about this too, is the scene with Harry and his friends versus Draco and his friends in the Room of Requirement.
Yeah.
It's a great scene as Harry searches for the diadem and Draco's trying to stop him from getting it. But Harry, in a moment that I think surprised everybody, it even surprised me rereading it, is just how quickly he decides that he needs to save Draco and Goyle when the Fiendfire gets out of control. This was shocking to me because even in Draco's, what would have been his final moments, if Harry let him die, he was trying to stop Harry from defeating Voldemort. Voldemort would have reigned if Draco did stop him. And yet here's Harry saving Draco's life. I know Harry is a good person. I know this is a lesson of the books to be good through everything. Right. But wow, this is a remarkable moment of courage where he's letting arguably his arch enemy, other than Voldemort, in this book, deciding to save him.
But
this is frustrating. You're right.
I don't know. I feel like they grew up together. I mean, say he did all these horrible things, but they also grew up together. Draco is the first person Harry has a conversation with that is his own age in the wizarding world. And their fights were usually just petty things in the beginning. I feel like there's still some kind of relationship there. And I don't think Harry in any world would have let Draco die, but I also don't think Ron would have, or any of the others, really, if it came down to it. And also, at this point, Harry has been somewhat saved by Draco before, because Draco didn't say that it was Harry when they were at Malfoy Manor.
I agree.
And yet here he is allowing not only these brutes who he cannot control, Crabbe and Goyle, in, and they, of course, what's it matter if we kill Harry? Voldemort wants him dead anyway. He can't control his friends, and he's here to basically still try and escort Harry to Voldemort, which is not a very positive thing. Draco is still lost in this moment. He's still lost, unsure what his role is in this battle. And he's towing the line and just, he's going to confront Harry in the 11th hour. This is so frustrating because right before they got in here, Harry was running with arms outstretched to the diadem. It was this huge reveal, really the upswing of this chapter, which is called the Battle of Hogwarts. Harry is running towards the diadem. He finally knows what it is, where it is. There's a beautiful backstory with Voldemort. And, all of a sudden he's stopped by not, at first it's just, his old school rivals, oh, big deal. But then Crabbe is it that conjures this unstoppable fire. And you're just like, man, what a setback. This is so frustrating. And so, when Harry dives to save, Draco and Goyle, you do feel kind of like it's ridiculous because Harry shouldn't even be having to do this, right? Like this is the last straw of, trying to do the right thing in the midst of so much, he still has to vanquish evil. That's the priority, is the diadem, not Draco and Crabbe and Goyle.
I also want to say, though, I think Harry's opinion of Malfoy maybe started to change a little bit, towards the end of the 6th book, just kind of seeing him really struggle when he confronted Dumbledore, and then throughout the 7th book, hesitating to turn Harry in. And I think maybe Harry could sense that Draco was flirting with the line a little bit and not really, maybe maybe wanting himself to change. And I mean, Harry's a good person. We know that. I want to say if I was in his shoes, I would have done the same thing. But, I think that they're really, and it's like Nassim said, they've grown up together. So maybe he saw that negative personality starting to change, and that heroicness inside of him told him that he needed to save him.
Yeah, and just wants to believe that Draco will turn good. And Harry's instincts are right. I mean, he does turn into a better person. We see him in the epilogue. Not really. I don't think he's hating on Harry. And then, of course, in the Cursed Child, they team up, and they are friends.
Well, short-term results are that Harry is able to tell Narcissa that Draco is fine, which causes her to lie for him.
True.
And that saves Harry's life. So that's an immediate short-term huge reward. Not that Harry could have predicted it, but Harry would have been in a position to lie to Narcissa about Draco being okay if he hadn't saved his life, and that would have put him in a pickle.
And also, Harry has always compared Draco to Dudley. That has always been kind of the parallel. And I feel like in Deathly Hallows, he truly forgives Dudley, and they're able to move on. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing that happens with Draco here. And he's seen the family situation, what's going on with Lucius and Narcissa right now. And even Crabbe talks back to Malfoy in this scene, which has never happened before. But he's like, who cares what you think? I don't take your orders no more. You and your dad are finished.
Your family is second rung now. And I think that helps. I think that reminder helps. And also the whole reason Draco's even able to get into that room is because he practically lived there the year before. That's what he tells Harry.
Yeah.
And that brings up all of the emotions of how lonely and isolated Draco was feeling. And I think it does appeal to the good person in Harry. Having that reminder that this was really Draco's refuge. Like, sure, Voldemort dumped 1/7 of his soul here, and sure, Harry dumped his potions book here, and there's centuries of students that use this room for this purpose, but for Draco, this is his home. Like, you're in Draco's house right now, basically.
Most importantly, out of all this, if Harry had never saved Malfoy, Scorobus would have never become a thing.
Thank you for getting that in there.
Absolutely. It had to be done.
We asked our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/MuggleCast, what would your role have been in defending the school? And I want the panel's answers here as well. But first, I'll read some of our patron responses. First of all, Chang Ning is pretty honest. She says, I'm definitely that random person in the crowd that got killed by some random stray flying spell. Hashtag background character.
Oh my God.
Matthew says, I am not the bravest of people, definitely not a Gryffindor. I would see myself on a broom overseeing the battle and coordinating where people are coming and going. My companion would definitely be my broom, peeves, and hippogriffs that can cause distractions for students in a bind, needing help to escape certain deaths. If I could obtain a dragon, I would fly on that and burn those on the ground like Khaleesi and Dragon. Ryan, who we actually have gone to trivia night with here in Chicago, says, I'd probably be up on a battlement casting Wingardium Leviosa on heavy objects and sending them towards Death Eaters at high speeds. That's a good one. Drop some pianos on enemies.
What a way to die in the Battle of Hogwarts.
Killed by piano.
Your grandfather, he was a veteran. He was fighting in the Battle of Hogwarts. He got killed by a piano.
Nassim, what would you do? What would your role be? Would you get involved?
It really depends. Do I go straight from like my normal life to the battle? I probably just would be crying in a corner and maybe like trying to throw spells and totally missing. But if I'd been like with Neville, I feel like the buildup of all that oppression and trying to help people would have made me a good warrior. And then maybe I could have been like helping Neville, do whatever he's doing. I feel like I would totally be following Neville around. I'd have fallen in love or something in high school.
How about you, Andy?
I don't know. I mean, I've definitely surprised myself in like high adrenaline situations, and I want to say definitely I would want to fight, but then the physician inside of me wants to say I'd also probably be with Madame Pomfrey and helping out anyone that was injured at the same time.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Administering the skill grow.
Yes, definitely.
How about you, Eric?
It's so tempting to say that I'd like hang out with a character that I know lives. Just be like, oh, if I'm next to McGonagall the whole time, I'll be okay. Right. I know that's not how it works, but I'd like to think that if I were at Hogwarts for real, I would hopefully follow my house, Hufflepuff, and I would hopefully be fighting with a group of Hufflepuffs with my head of house, Sprout, and be with Sprout kind of helping to lob plants at people, off one of the towers. I think that would be, cause that's like, it's very helpful. I'm sure it took a bunch of people down. It's not, I don't think you really get too much insight into, how successful it is, but I think that ultimately I would be with my friends fending off, people. I'd like to believe.
Do you think anyone took pictures of Battle of Hogwarts? Because
that's Colin Creevy.
Creevy did.
There.
Yeah, Colin Creevy was there, but his camera got damaged after he fell from the.
Yeah, there's no evidence that it happened. You need that kind of stuff. Someone should have taken.
Well, certain magic leaves a permanent trace.
When you were talking about Professor Sprout, for some reason the craziest idea came in my head. Before the Death Eaters came in, they should have all put on some earmuffs, held a mandrake plant, waited for them to come through the door, and just pull them all out.
Well, they do that.
They're throwing mandrakes out the window. I
don't know why I don't remember that.
It might be Ron who's like, they won't like this, or something.
Yeah, there's a move. You're right.
But how disturbing to throw these little babies over the wall.
Well, they're plants, but yeah, I mean, I know. It's pretty rough.
Another bad way to die.
Yeah, defenestration during Battle of Hogwarts.
I would be too afraid to fight, so I'd be with these people who are saying they'd fight in the back.
Honestly, thank you for saying what we're all thinking. I too. No, I mean, not that you'd be a coward, but I probably absolutely would be hiding.
I would. Can I commentate?
Yeah, or try to.
You can help the first years leave. You can help evacuate people.
All right, kids, let's get out of here.
Protecting the children.
Or guarding the dungeons where the Slytherins are all locked, right? Just make sure they don't get out, kind of thing.
Bring snacks for everyone.
Be that 16-year-old that's super thankful that he's not allowed, quote unquote, to fight.
Yeah. I think that'd be me. I'd just turned 16 the day before and be like, "Yep, okay."
Although, can we talk about the Slytherins? What a struggle for them, because it's their parents who are there fighting. I don't know.
Well, and who wrote this a little bit further down in the doc? They were choosing their loyalty in this scene.
Yeah, that's still so unclear for me, because doesn't McGonagall march them all straight to the dungeons and not give them a choice in the matter?
That does happen.
Or they all leave, so they leave the Great Hall, and that's a big deal, because that's the moment where they do decide not to stay. But instead of leaving and then maybe being given the opportunity to come back, McGonagall directs their prefect or their head boy or whatever, and they trap them in the dungeons.
They're the first to go out because Pansy's like, well, there's Harry. Let's give him to Voldemort.
Yeah.
And McGonagall's like, no.
Yeah. But everyone, that's the scene where all the underage are being let out by the head boys and prefects. And so even though all of Slytherin leaves, some of Ravenclaw stays, more of Hufflepuff stays, and Gryffindor half the table stays.
Do they leave or do they go to the dungeons? Because that's kind of they're holding them as ransom or something.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
So according to just a quick Google search, it says that Voldemort advised Lucius Malfoy that all the all the Slytherins joined Voldemort's side, and that was on page 641. I don't know how true that is.
That can't be
true. I'm also reading that McGonagall announced all of Slytherin House would be evacuated. Mm-hmm. No Slytherins remains. So no Slytherins.
But I don't blame them. That's so hard.
Yeah. Well, and I don't blame McGonagall either, because in this moment, there's not much time to think. And the smartest, quickest answer is, well, we don't know who to trust in Slytherin, so let's just get rid of them all.
Right.
Let's keep them all out.
And I think you mentioned like these students, the Slytherins, whose a portion of these students' parents are Death Eaters. The pull of blood and the pull of family is so strong, and I think it's almost a form of respecting that by removing the choice from Slytherins, right? By saying you don't have to choose whether or not you, an underage wizard, are going to fight for your parents, or do the right thing and be on the side of good and defend the school. We're gonna, remove that opportunity from you. So you don't have to, you can blame me later, but it's, we're not gonna have you fighting against ourselves, fighting against us. We're just not dealing with that. I think Pansy's declaration of, well, there he is, get him, kind of confirmed what McGonagall was thinking. And, there's no Snape there to really defend Slytherin's integrity, and Slughorn is not interested in kind of making a stand against that behavior.
Patrons, thank you for submitting your answers. There's plenty more, so I encourage everybody to go and read those over at patreon.com/MuggleCast. What did good come out of the Battle of Hogwarts? The Slytherin house did choose its loyalty. There wasn't with Voldemort gone, there was no more of a divide. There was no more, well, we're purebloods and only pureblood should be at the school, be in the wizarding world.
I think, the fall of Voldemort really creates an opportunity for rebirth in the school. And although we don't see it represented in The Cursed Child so much, because for conveniences of plot, the rivalry between Gryffindor and Slytherin is still a thing. I think realistically, there would be a lot more unity, and McGonagall would have a chance to oversee a real blending of, the body of the students and really kind of see a new, kind of fruitful existence at Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that there would be no divide, because then you have the heroes and the villains, and we also see that in Cursed Child, although I don't know if I count that. But I feel like it would be a very slow process, because you have to heal all that trauma and all those kids who were being tortured and stuff like that. There's a lot to fix, but ultimately it would be probably good for the school.
That's actually a good point about kids who were, when the Carrows were in charge. They had can you imagine, the first years, second years, what their whole introduction to Hogwarts was? Hogwarts in a time of great oppression, and those who've lost friends, like you said.
Definitely.
And that's why I'm asking this question, what good came out of this? Because there was a hell of a lot of bad, losing so many people, the school being destroyed, all in the name of defeating Voldemort, which luckily did happen. Somebody else wrote here, Professor McGonagall did become the new headmistress.
That was me.
That's a great one. Professor McGonagall, she kicked ass during the Battle of Hogwarts. Of course,
totally.
There's that amazing scene, do your duty to the school. Just love that.
Oh, I love that scene. I love that scene. And I know I said that Molly Weasley was my favorite mom in the beginning, but I don't know if Professor McGonagall was ever a mom, but I see her as the mom of everyone at Hogwarts, so she was probably my second runner-up.
Yeah.
Or my first runner-up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because a few months ago, we spoke about, these poor teachers, they're always at school. They don't have a personal life. And I don't think we ever found anything about McGonagall being a mom.
No, she's
Or any of
not.
the other.
In Pottermore, they put a bunch of information about her. She wasn't able to marry the person she loved. It's pretty
so sad.
Yeah. But they also were able to probably repaint Hogwarts or do some good interior design after all that.
Well, we got to rebuild it anyway, so let's remodel. Yeah. Added some new wings.
An Astronomy Tower.
Well, you would think they added tribute towers, like the Dumbledore Tower, the Severus Snape Tower.
The Dumbledore Tower. How sad is that?
Okay, maybe a tower wouldn't be a good one to do for him, but a classroom named after Dumbledore.
Yeah, Dumbledore Hall.
Oh, I like that.
the Severus Snape boathouse.
I'm wondering, though, like, if Professor McGonagall did become the headmistress, who took over Gryffindor house, like, head of house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have to bring someone
Neville.
in.
For Transfiguration, yeah.
Yeah, probably Neville. Doesn't he go teach, or am I just using my own head?
Yeah, he becomes a herbology teacher.
Probably not like the very next day, but I think
No.
within a couple years, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Was it ever mentioned that another teacher was a Gryffindor as well? Or, I don't know. I can't think of any.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
The fat lady became the...
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Just carry her painting around.
Maybe
Just
Professor
looking
Binns.
in, I don't think J.K. Rowling has ever said who became Transfiguration teacher after McGonagall left that position. According to the wiki, it is unknown. I think Hermione should have become head of house. She's a total McGonagall.
Yeah, well, we know she goes back, so she's a 7th year student the next year. So she has the answers.
Maybe she's at, like, the acting head of house, even though she's, like, a 7th year.
Yeah, like an honor, like a new, like a, not a head boy or head girl or prefect, but like a acting head of, I like that idea a lot.
Wait, you're sure about that? Hermione went back to school?
Yeah, she
it
did.
was said.
Wow, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Rowling says it's not in the book. Rowling says it later.
Oh, okay. And 19 years later, Hermione's still going to Hogwarts because she just can't quit it.
Making up those classes that she neglected to complete during the year of camping.
Hermione, it's really time to go. No.
Can you imagine being at Hogwarts and having, like, a 30-year-old sitting next to you?
Yeah. That would bring up some concerns.
Well, I'm 30, so, and I'm 30 and I want to go to Hogwarts, so I don't, nobody better look at me funny.
No lies, I'd do the same thing.
They just start a new house for all the adults who don't want to leave.
Oh, the House of Awesome.
Well, this has been fun. To wrap this up, how about we do some Battle of Hogwarts trivia? Our quizmaster, Eric, I think, prepared a couple questions.
Yes, I do. Who's feeling lucky about Battle of Hogwarts trivia? Anybody in particular?
Oh, God. I'm
Call me
scared.
Domino, because I'm feeling lucky.
Oh, look at that. Okay,
That's
Andrew.
a Deadpool 2 reference, now in theaters.
Oh, man. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it last night.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think I'm just going to go see it alone because I feel like it's too rude to go with my family. And I'm visiting them now, so I'm just going to be like...
Yeah, I wouldn't see that with my mom. Definitely not.
just going to go alone.
All right,
Good.
so here's what I think is the hardest question I was able to come up with so far.
Oh, God.
And this is mentioned in the Battle of Hogwarts chapter. What are the 3 tallest towers at Hogwarts School?
Ooh.
Is the Allery one of them?
No.
Astronomy Tower?
Professors Flitwick, Sprout, and McGonagall take groups of fighters up to each of the 3 highest towers, and they're called out by name.
Wait,
Yeah.
do we all answer or is this for one person?
Well, this
Well,
is just for Andrew, but I guess, if Andrew doesn't know, we can all answer.
Yeah, like Andy said, the Astronomy Tower, is that one of them?
The Astronomy Tower is one of them.
I'm going to say... Oh, I think it's one of the houses. I want to say Ravenclaw was one.
Ravenclaw is one of them.
Yes.
Gryffindor's in a tower. Is Gryffindor the other?
Yeah, Gryffindor's the other. It's kind of
Yay.
weird. The 2 tallest towers... Well, I mean, the Astronomy Tower is the tallest tower. That's the one Dumbledore fell from, and the ride at Universal will be opening next summer.
Very excited.
Yeah, super excited. They let Andrew in on that exclusive because he came up with it. And I think he's getting a cut of the pay? Cut of admissions?
I can't discuss that. My attorney said I can't. But let's just say I don't need MuggleCast anymore.
But okay. Well, oh God. That'll be a day when we come upon that. The Astronomy Tower is the tallest, but Ravenclaw and Gryffindor are the 2 next tallest towers, and those are the ones where, Sprout and, students and everybody are lobbing every spells and, otherwise off of those towers. So that's that question. Nasim, you want to go next?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Would you like a question about Ravenclaw or a question about Slytherin?
Ravenclaw. I'm a Ravenclaw.
Okay. All right. Where specifically was the lost diadem of Ravenclaw hidden by Helena Ravenclaw?
Oh, where it was hidden by her.
By her, not by Voldemort. Where did she hide it?
Wasn't it hidden inside a tree?
Yes.
Oh.
Where was the tree?
In a forest?
Where was the forest?
Okay, this is...
Phone a friend. Phone me.
Okay. Andrew? Can you...
I believe it was...
Like in Albania or something?
Yeah, it was in Albania.
That's it.
Inside a hollowed out tree in Albania. This is actually a cool
Andrew.
revelation in the Battle of Hogwarts. Harry sort of just comes to the conclusion, after Voldemort finds the diadem, he remembers what like a good hiding spot the diadem was in, and then that's why he was in Albania for the 10 years that he is without a body. So it's kind of really cool there.
Like, if you'd come to one wrong conclusion, it would have all just been a mess.
Yeah. I'd like to know more about what Helena Ravenclaw's refuge was like in that forest. Like, she probably had a pretty cool, I don't know, cabin or, living place that she was living in. Treehouse, yeah, kind of, something cool, something very wise. But anyway, Andy, you get the next Quizzitch Battle of Hogwarts question.
Sounds good.
This is a turn of phrase. What weird, although that's my term for it, British phrase does McGonagall say when a Slytherin student asks about where Professor Snape went? Do you remember what her reply is?
Oh, gosh, not at all. All right, I'm gonna have to phone a friend as well. Andrew, Nassim, anyone?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, what phrase does McGonagall say when a Slytherin student asks about
I just
Professor
read
Snape?
it. Didn't he say he, flew away? It was something funny.
Yeah, this was a hard one. She says, he has, to use the common phrase, done a bunk. And
Yeah, I would not
I'm
remember
asking,
that.
how is this a common phrase at all? I've never heard of this before. The American
have I.
editors didn't even bother to change it. I miss them so
Yeah,
much.
you know what? Yeah, I remember that now. When reading that, I actually had the same thought. Like, that passed the American editors? I'm surprised.
Yeah, but they just gave up after, book 5. They're like, here's 1,000 pages of this. We can't.
Well, they want to keep it British. I mean, Harry Potter wasn't not going to be successful because it was too British at that point. So
what would it have been in America?
Yeah, I don't know. So I had to Google. This. Yeah, Urban Dictionary says it's to flee without permission, to escape or flee under incriminating circumstances, unauthorized departure. But an article from BBC America explains that bunk, from 19th century origin, means to leave. So if you say, darling, I've had enough of this cocktail party, shall we bunk? And I think it's also derived from going to bed, going to a bunk bed. It's kind of the same etymology there. So McGonagall just says he's done a bunk, and it means he's left without permission.
So what's the
Or the
slang
kids would
equivalent? What would we say?
bye.
Hit the high, haven't hit the hit the hay.
G2G. TTYL.
He's pieced out, y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
like pieced out.
He's pieced out. Yeah, I think that's probably the term.
All right. Well, that was fun talking about the Battle of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Good discussion, y'all. R.I.P. to all we lost. Tonks should have stayed home. Or Lupin. One of the two. All right. To wrap up today's show, we are going to listen to some voicemails.
Hi, guys. This is Dave, and I'm calling to follow on the discussion that you had about one of your calls last week. I'm wondering if you think J.K. Rowling should let an American author write a story about Ilvermorny and the Wizarding World in America. Do you think fans would want a story like this? I ask this mainly because I've been working on one for the past 10 years, so I have a real vested interest in the answer to this question. I sent you a copy of my book a while back, and you mentioned it on the show, which was really cool. I was really happy to hear that, so thank you for that. Also, just so you know, that copy is a little outdated now. Now that J.K. Rowling has dipped a toe in on this side of the pond, I think it would be a great time for her to test out the expanded universe idea like Star Wars did. If it's something fans really want, I think expanded Potter universe stuff could be used to help raise money for the Lumos Foundation. So what do you guys think? Should Ilvermorny remain only in the realm of fantastic beasts and fan fiction, or does the wizarding world in America deserve more?
I thought this was an interesting question, particularly concerning having an American author write it. J.K. Rowling has a very good relationship with Stephen Fry, so maybe... no, Stephen King. So maybe...
Oh, right. Oh, God.
Oh, I wouldn't want to read that.
Stephen King could write a gory Ilvermorny story.
I just really admire this person for saying that they actually want someone to write stuff that they've already written about, because personally, as a fan fiction writer myself, every time that Rowling talks about something that I wrote in my fics, I'm like, no, stop, you're ruining
You copied
everything.
me, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually a really, really good point.
So I really
would
admire it.
No, that's amazing. I do too, and I'm glad you said that. That's very kind. I would probably argue for a Native American writer. If they're going to do an American tale of wizard and magic, you should do it somebody who will be able to get it right. I think that there's a reason J.K. Rowling did not go further into the magic of North America after the initial stuff, and it's because she may have culturally appropriated a little bit, and I think that somebody who will be able to mitigate that with all of the care in the world, should be the person in charge of it. We should.
That's a great point.
Yeah, we should not kind of fumble around with that stuff anymore.
What could be cool is kind of like in a Tales of the Beedle the Bard style, like, a bunch of short stories, maybe doing a bunch of short stories on the various wizarding schools in the world, and just kind of a nice little clip.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
God.
want to read the Mahatakura, the colorful robes kind of Japanese school. I really want to know about that.
Well, if anyone out there wants to, like, each person from each continent write a story about the school and put it together, that would be amazing. Just contact me. I'm so down.
Yeah, especially if they're students of like anthropology and can like really get it right historically.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it would certainly shock the fandom if J.K. Rowling was like, all right, here comes another Wizarding World story, and it's not written by me. That would shock the fandom, but she has kind of been dipping her toe into this idea, letting other people step into her world. With Hogwarts Mystery, for example, with all these games, we've already heard they're not canon, but they are coming, and they are going to be official Harry Potter games. And then, of course, with Cursed Child, letting other people head up the writing on it.
I'm iffy about it.
And I understand that, and I think we're going to be seeing more of this, especially if there's ever a Harry Potter or Wizarding World TV series, which I think is just absolutely inevitable at this point.
Right.
Maybe that's what it'll be.
I love that you
Ilvermorny
mentioned Stephen King. Yeah. I really, actually, really do want, because you're right. There is a mutual professional respect there, I think. Between
They tweet each other. They did that event together.
If we have just a separate category, like this doesn't count as the main Harry Potter canon, I'm completely happy to have more stuff to allow more fans to make fan films and things like that. Like, that would be amazing. It's great. And we just need to have a very clear separation. And that's what I didn't like about Cursed Child. We had another writer, and then it's supposed to count with the same value as the original books, which I don't think should be that way.
All right, here's one more voicemail.
Hi, MuggleCast. I'm Jennifer. I'm from Colorado. And I was just calling about something rather odd I noticed in Hogwarts Mystery. And it's the fact that the Astronomy Tower unlocks at year 6, with some obvious disregard to Dumbledore's safety. Well, that's all of my thought. I just thought that was odd. But thanks for doing the show. Love the podcast. Bye.
Did they let you go into the Astronomy Tower at year 6 because of what happens to Dumbledore on that very tower in book 6?
Probably. I wasn't under the impression that anything beyond year 3 was actually open. Are you still on year 3, Andy?
I am. I'm near the end. And then I don't know if year 4 is unlocked yet, but I'll keep you all posted.
Please do. Yeah, I think it's time release or something. But I know that you can go into, like, in one of the menus, it says, like, the friendships you will make, and you can see in advance, like, can't unlock Tonks till year 2, Bill till year 3, or the other way around.
Yeah.
So that must be, she can see the classroom, and it says year 6.
Year 6. Interesting.
I just want to get curly hair. I'm still in first year and I want curly hair, but they don't have it for like the first 5 years.
Oh, it's not one of those things where you can just lay down $100 and...
I mean, I could, but like, will you sponsor my curly hair?
Well, you know what? I'm sure we could work something. This is what? The second time you've been on MuggleCast? Yeah, I'm sure we can work something.
Crowdfund.
Crowdfunded the curly hair fund.
I did a very Andrew thing. I deleted the game like a week ago. I'm just not playing it. I'm not planning my day around Hogwarts Mystery where I have to play for 20 minutes and then, you have to wait 4 hours and then you'll be able to play again. I'm not about that life. But Andy, it sounds like you're a power player.
I'm a gamer at heart. I love games, and I mean, in between seeing like patients at the hospital, like it's my guilty pleasure, and I get so like defensive too. Like when people are walking behind me, I quickly put my phone away because like I don't want to be judged for it.
Oh man,
you're not the only person playing games on your phone in the hospital, I'm sure.
I know, but then they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's that?" And then oh, so it's this Harry Potter. Everyone knows me as the Harry Potter geek at the hospital, which I'm very proud to hold that title. But
there goes Andy playing his Harry Potter games again. Of course he is. He's the Harry Potter guy.
Yeah. No,
that's funny.
But I honestly I love the story so far. I mean, it's interesting to me, and it's like I can't not know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I understand that.
It just occurred to me though, like year 6 for the Astronomy Tower. This game isn't aligned with Harry's years at Hogwarts, so there's no reason it needs to be year 6. It's probably just like, a nod.
A nod to the horrors that happened there.
Gosh.
All right, Eric, let's play some Quizzitch.
Okay. Listen, I have to say, everybody rose to the challenge I presented last week with a particularly difficult Mother's Day themed Quizzitch question. It was, which mother in the Harry Potter series is named after a Roman Catholic saint whose feast day is famously preceded by a gathering of witches? And this question, I forget how exactly it came to me, but the answer was Walburga Black, Sirius Black's mother. And Walburga, who is not a very nice woman, is named for Saint Walpurgis, Walpurga, whose feast day is May 1st. And April 30th, I actually went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on a website called GothicHorrorStories.com. And I'm going to read 4 paragraphs here about Walpurga. Here we go. In the Germanic countries of Central Europe, there is what is essentially a second Halloween, Walpurgisnacht, or as it's often referred to in its German form, Walpurgisnacht, falling exactly 6 months from All Hallows Eve. Many of the ancient cultures divided the year into just 2 seasons, summer and winter. The dividing line between the 2 seasons were Beltane and Samhain, with Beltane being one of the 8 solar Sabbats in the pagan calendar, its date based on the sun. So in Britain, Wales, and Scotland, and Ireland, Beltane often begins at sunset on April 30th and continues through May Day. Since the medieval era, at least, it was believed that the veil between the world of the living and the dead is thinnest on both Halloween and the night before Beltane. As a result, not just the ghosts of the dead, but fairies, shapeshifters, and in regards to Walpurgis, witches were at their most powerful and could more easily cross between the 2 worlds. And this is a little bit on Walburga herself. She was an English nun. She was born in Devonshire in 710 and sent as a missionary to Germany to start churches. She died in 777, the year, AD, and the reason she became a saint was in no small part due to a strange occurrence on her burial. Her rock tomb began oozing a healing oil, and it was declared a miracle. So much so that her body was then chopped up and sent all over France and Germany to spread the miracle.
Oh my God.
That's weird.
So
That
all that stuff is packed into a single name choice by J.K. Rowling for a woman that we never properly meet in Harry Potter.
Nor do we really want to meet.
Nor do we want to meet her. But yeah, Walburga Black was the answer. So congratulations to Sean Brady, Megan, Zachary Hawkins, Sarah, a.k.a. Weensy, Jennifer St. George, and Andrea Fizor, who sent in the correct answer. Again, this is a game that we play on Twitter. So when you have an answer for us, just tweet at us and say, this week's Quizzitch answer is blank. And I'm beginning to notice some familiar names, so I would encourage more people to get involved and participate in Quizzitch. And also the people who've stuck with us, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's fun seeing the responses on Twitter. Mm-hmm. We don't play Quizzitch on Facebook, but we do have a Facebook page, facebook.com/MuggleCast. Also, MuggleCast.com is where you can listen to all episodes dating back to 2005. We also have our Patreon, which keeps this show weekly, and you get a slew of benefits by supporting us at patreon.com/MuggleCast, including the chance to be on the show today. Andy, thanks for, I know you pulled an all-nighter here, so thanks for staying up. Hope you had a good time. You did great.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Awesome. And I know you've been in some of our Slug Club hangouts, too, I think.
I remember the first time I went in, my sound wasn't working. It was, devastating. But the second time, I got the issue fixed.
Well, I'm glad your sound is working now, obviously.
Yeah, a little more important this time, so good thing it got worked out. Yeah. So lots of benefits. Nassim, thanks for joining us as well. Nice to have you on again. You did great.
Thank you so much for inviting me back.
I love having your sweet, cute little voice on the show. Nassim's young, too.
I'm the hypeable baby.
You are.
Oh, I was going to... There's some backstory here that I'm not grabbing.
How old are you, 12?
I'm 22. But I look like I'm 12, so it's fine.
I feel so old now.
So Mcgonagall would not have let you participate in the Battle of Hogwarts.
I hope. I mean, by sight, no. If she knew my age, I would be allowed, I hope.
22, yeah, 22.
yeah. But
by the way...
speaking of, we do have next week's Quizzitch question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. But it's a real quick one. Again, it's Battle of Hogwarts themed. And it is as follows. What does Harry see at Hogwarts that reminds him of where the lost diadem is hidden? It's a very specific moment when Harry has a light bulb go off. And yeah, it's actually really, 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 really cool. Mm-hmm. Send your answers to us over on Twitter, of course.
That domino effect that Nassim was talking about. So many things had to work out perfectly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention Nassim is podcasting from Paraguay today.
Yes.
This is kind of cool.
Ooh.
How awesome.
Yeah. Internet seems to work pretty well there.
I feel like every time we talk, I'm in a different country because it just happens that way. It's kind of funny.
Around.
So jealous.
What are you doing there?
I'm visiting my parents. I grew up here, so I'm in college in the U.S., but I came here for summer.
Possibly the first time we've had a host podcasting from South America.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, I'm the first. Okay.
You might be the first podcaster ever in all of South America.
All of time. No, that's really rude to all of the podcasters who are doing a great job in South America.
Yeah, probably not true. Anyway, so that's what we have for everybody this week. Thank you all for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Andy.
And I'm Nassim.
See everybody next time. Bye.
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 Bye.